Hello everyone, thank you for clicking and watching our first video. I just wanted to make an introduction video on Josie. She's my very first hamster and hopefully one of many more hamsters to come in the future. And I just wanted to make an introduction video on her story, how I adopted her, and just how she is overall. So I'm just gonna talk over a compilation of videos I've accumulated of her in the past few months that I've had her. So yeah, let's get started. So Josie is a dwarf hamster. Currently she is 1 year and 5 months. I've had her for 8 months now because I adopted her last year, October 2021, and I adopted her when she was, I think, 9 months or 10 months old, and she's been with me since. So I adopted her last year, and all she came with is this typical small hamster cage that has 3 levels and tubes going through the levels, and she only had one hidey house, a small sand bath, food, water, and just a thin layer of unsafe wood shavings as her bedding. And even just her first level had bedding. The second and third levels had no bedding at all. It was very bare and it just had her food and water. So that's how I adopted her, and that's all that she came with. Now going into a little backstory of before I adopted her, it was actually a time when I knew I wanted a hamster, but I was still researching about hamster care. And I wouldn't say I was very educated yet back then, since I was still in the process of researching. So she came into my life very unexpectedly, actually, because while I was doing my research, I joined this local Facebook group for small pets, and I was just asking advice about hamsters, and this lady messaged me on Facebook and told me that she had a dwarf hamster for adoption because they were leaving the country. So she sent photos, she sent videos, and as much as I fell in love with her at first sight with those photos and videos, I had to take my time to think about it because I needed to figure out if I was really ready for one, since I was still just on the research part of my journey and I had to think it through. So I told her I'd get back to her, and after thinking it through, actually during the time that I was thinking it through, I received a free cage. Like, it was used for rats previously. It's a cage specifically for chinchillas, mice, and rats, and it was just given to me for free, and I was like, okay, maybe this is a sign. But obviously we had to hamster proof it. We added the chicken wire so she doesn't get through, and I looked at her photos and her videos again, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna adopt her, and I'll just improve my care and research along the way. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with her was because in the videos that she sent to me, Josie was already tame, and the videos were mainly of this lady's son handling Josie, and they seemed to have a really good connection and a good bond. And she was a really sweet hamster according to the videos, because at this point I haven't met her yet, and she was already tame. And that's one of the things I know that I got lucky with Josie, because I know, from what I know, dwarfs are harder to tame or aren't as friendly as Syrians. So I think I really got lucky with her because she was already tamed and she was bonded with this family that she had previously. And so I did adopt her, and I was so glad that I did, because where we are, we stay in Dubai. The only hamsters that are common here for as pets is dwarfs and Syrians and long-haired Syrians. And I've always wanted a dwarf because to me they were easier to take care of. I don't know why, but that's what I thought of in the beginning. But I wanted a dwarf, and after I adopted Josie, I didn't see any dwarfs for adoption for months. So I think she kind of came to me at the right time, because I wouldn't have had a hamster for a very long time, because Syrians are more common to be posted for adoption rather than dwarfs here, is what I noticed. So she came to me at the perfect time, and I'm so glad that I adopted her, because she's the sweetest hamster that I think I've ever seen. I've seen hamsters before, but they weren't as friendly and sweet as she was. And now touching upon me being given a free cage before I got her. So since she was going from from a small cage to a bigger cage, I didn't want to stress her out that much, because she just moved in with me. So when she moved in with me, I left her alone in her small cage for a week to help her get settled into the new environment, which is my house, because she moved from one house to another. And then after that week, I started handling her, and I moved her into the bigger cage, because then moving to my new house and then moving from her small cage to a bigger cage would have been really stressful for her. So I just wanted to leave her alone for a week to get settled in. And as soon as she moved into the small cage, I saw a difference in her behavior, because in her old cage she was showing stress or boredom signs such as bar biting and bar climbing, which immediately stopped when she got into the big cage, which I'm so grateful for, because that made me realize that she liked this space and she liked this new house that I've set up for her. And I was so glad that she wasn't stressed anymore and she wasn't bored. So it's very rewarding to see a behavior change in a hamster that you just adopted. And also she actually didn't take any time to get used to me. After I left her alone for 1 week, I started handling her to get her into the new cage, and she's so sweet. Like every time I opened the cage, she would come to the gate and say hi, and she would be expecting treats, and she'd take treats from my hands, her food from my hands. Just the nicest hamster I think I've seen. And yeah, that's pretty much her story. And this is her now. This is clips of her now enjoying her vegetables. Her favorites are broccoli and bok choy or bok choy. But yeah, just wanted to take this time to introduce Josie and also to introduce myself. So thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. See you next time.